Hello everyone. Today I am going to talk about Node.js and how Node.js can be helpful for Salesforce developers. So this is the agenda. I am going to talk about introduction, what is Node.js, what is NPM, applications of Node.js, Node.js for Salesforce developer, simple Node.js application, and I am also going to show a sample Node.js application from gallery. So let us first talk about how JavaScript engine works. Even before that, we should know how does JavaScript run on browser. So browser has an engine on which JavaScript runs. An engine is a program on which which executes JavaScript. So engine compiles and interprets JavaScript at runtime. So basically we can from this we can conclude that basically browser has an environment on which JavaScript runs. If we compare the same this with an analogy of a train, so in that case train can only run on tracks. So like if train is JavaScript, then train can only run in an environment where it has tracks, cables, and other runtime environment that is required for the train. So if you move the runtime environment of a train to somewhere else, like the tracks and the cables, you move it to another place, so train can even run there. So if you uh, similarly for JavaScript, browser has an engine and engine compiles JavaScript can run on the browser because of the JavaScript engine. So what if you this JavaScript engine, if you move it out of the browser, can JavaScript run out of the browser as well? So yes, that is right, it can. So this is the basic idea that was used by Ryan. Let us see what he did. So in 2009 an idea came in the mind of Ryan Dahl, that why not run JavaScript outside the browser, because JavaScript is such a powerful language. So he took the V8 engine, the JavaScript engine, and embedded it in a C++ program and called it node.exe later on, which became node.js. So JavaScript engines are of like different browsers use different engines. Like V8 engine that we talked about is used by Chrome and Node.js. SpiderMonkey is used by Mozilla. Rhino is also used by Mozilla, and Edge uses Chakra. So long time the engine was built, and now the engine keeps improving based on the latest technology and the latest algorithms. Okay, so basically now we know that what is Node.js. So Node.js is only an execution environment where JavaScript can run outside the browser. Okay, so the next thing that we can we come after Node.js is npm, because whenever you install Node.js, you'll always install Node.js and npm together. They go hand in hand, and the full form of npm is Node Package Manager. So npm is both a software on your computer and a repository of packages. So when you install Node.js, you install npm also. So that is a software on your machine, and npm is also, we call the repository of all the packages is also npm. So as you can see, npm is the world's largest software registry. The registry contains over 8 lakh code packages. It is an open source for developers where they can upload their packages and share their packages with other people. So also, if this is a repository of packages, this is similar to App Exchange. In Salesforce, we have App Exchange where various packages are there with, for different domains, different industries, different Salesforce functionalities. We have different packages. Similarly, npm is a repository where Node.js, the packages are there. So why do we need a package manager? If we have a repository with packages, why do we need a package manager? So the reason is that earlier there were multiple repository for packages. So Node npm brought all the packages in one place. So that is a big advantage. And second thing is, in earlier days, when we used libraries in JavaScript using the script tag, it caused problem in a huge project, because suppose you are using the jQuery library in your project. If the jQuery library is updated, so you store the library on your PC. So if the library is updated, you have to download the library again and update it in your project in the package.json file. Package.json file is the file which contains the metadata about your project in Node.js. So you have to update the package that you're using in your package.json file. So there is lot of manual work involved over here. So Node npm takes of this, the tedious manual work. It it does that, and it makes managing these packages easier. So now let us see what are the applications of Node.js. So Node.js is fast, lightweight, scalable, and an efficient environment to run the code. It is largest ecosystem of open source libraries that we already discussed, and 98% of the Fortune 500 companies use Node.js. It can be used in variety of applications like IoT, real-time chat apps, single-page applications, real-time collaboration tools, streaming apps, apps with microservices architecture. So some of the single-page applications are Gmail and Twitter, where Node.js is currently being used. Some IoT applications are, one is Pre is an example. Pre is a micro-tagged tool where microtag is attached to your belongings and allowing the monitoring via Bluetooth. So it alerts the users if your belongings go out of range or somebody takes them out of range. Another is Asana. Asana is an employee tracking system that uses real-time data from the smartwatch of the employee to track employee location, so that managers can track your location and fix meetings. So this can be a disadvantage also for some employees. Node.js is also used by PayPal. So PayPal uses Node.js for consumer facing side applications, which are consumer side applications. They can use JavaScript for both client side and server side applications. So this is the plus. So why, if when it was asked to the people in PayPal that why they use Node.js, so they said that it was because JavaScript can be used for client side and server side, both sides. And it unifies their engineering specialities into one team, which allows them to understand and react to their users and the needs of the users at any level in the technology stack. Also, LinkedIn uses Node.js. So when it was asked that why do they use Node.js, so basically their reason was that it is scalable and it is good at talking with other systems. Basically, it can be integrated with other systems easily. Another big player is Netflix. Netflix also uses Node.js. So why does Netflix use Node.js? Because it's lightweight, modular, and makes the application fast. And also the startup time of the app can be reduced by 70% if you use Node.js. That is why Netflix uses it. So from this you can understand how fast it is. Another thing is Uber. Some other examples are Uber, Groupon, Yahoo, and many more examples are there who use Node.js. So what is the significance of Node.js for Salesforce developers? As we already saw that there are many packages that can be used in a Node.js project. So that is an advantage, and already if when you learn LWC, you have to learn JavaScript as well. So if you are using JavaScript on the client side for developing an LWC, you could also use it on the server side. Because JavaScript, why not use it in creating a Node.js application as well if you have that knowledge? So that is the advantage. Second is the Salesforce CLI is built using a Node.js framework called Oakleaf. And so if you want to build a CLI anytime, you can use Node.js frameworks. And Node.js has many such frameworks for client side and server side both. LWC, if you built an LWC, it can be used in Node.js as well. So you can reuse your LWC, you can reuse your knowledge in multiple different kind of technologies and apps. So another thing is, for building a web application in Node.js, if you build it, you can deploy it to Heroku. So that is also an advantage, and LWC basically uses the npm repository. So if you have knowledge on that, it will always help you. So now we discussed about what is Node.js. So let us look under the hood how Node.js works. So Node.js basically has an execution environment, execution context. So different, suppose let us take this piece of code where there are some global variables, there are two methods, first and second. So this kind of code, it has a global context. The global context is the like, what you can say is like environment. The context is an environment in which a piece of JavaScript code is executed, and context stores all the necessary information for execution. So for example, in the global context, the this value, like the this that is in JavaScript, that value will be window. But if you call the first method using an object, so if you check the value of this inside the first function, it will be the object. So inside the function context, the variable value is different, and in the global context, the variable value is different. So to execute the function, you need the environment and the variables to be set. So context is the context sets the environment for you to run the function, or the global context. If you want to run something in the global context, then what value you should assume for the variables, that is set in the global and the method context. Another thing is the stack. So stack is a first in first out container, where the functions are stored when the function has to be executed, whenever the function executes. So let us see this the same example, and how it works with a stack. So first of all, when the execution starts, it will start with a global context. So no method has been executed now, only the global context. Then the first method will be executed. This is a synchronous call. So first method will be executed, and when the first method is executed, the first method will be pushed onto the stack. Then from inside the first method, the second method is being called. If you see here, the second method is being called. So because the second method is being called over here, the second method will be pushed onto the stack. Then we'll go to the execution of the second method. Once we complete the execution of the second method, this will be pushed out of the stack. Then we come to the first method again. Then these lines will be executed, and after this is executed, the first method will also be pushed out of the stack, because the context is no longer required. Then we are left with the global context again. So this is how the stack works. Now JavaScript engine contains the heap memory, the execution context, the stack, these things. And another important thing that you should know about is the event loop. So as you know, in JavaScript we have asynchronous calls as well. One example is the set timeout call. So for asynchronous callouts, suppose you make an asynchronous callout, it is a bad idea to, in the asynchronous callout, it may take longer time. So if we place that asynchronous callout or the method callout directly onto the stack, it will keep waiting, right? Because the asynchronous callout will take time. So what happens in the engine is that the asynchronous callout is assigned to the worker thread. Once it makes the call out and gets the response back. Once the response is back, it is the callback function. Then it is the event loop stores it in the event queue, and then when the stack is empty from the event queue, the whatever has to be executed is pushed into the stack. So that is how the event loop works. Let us now talk about a simple Node.js application. So if you want to create a simple Node.js application, first you have to install Node.js. So if you search on Google Node.js, you'll reach the install Node.js. You'll reach the nodejs.org, and you can here you'll see there are two options. One is this recommended for most user and stable version to install, and the second is this current version which has the latest features, but it is no more like it is not a stable one. So it is recommended that we install this recommended one, Node.js. And when you install this, automatically it will install Node.js as well as npm. So let us start creating the simple application. Once the installation is done, we will also verify if the installation is done correctly. So now we will run the command node -v. This will give the current version of Node.js in our computer. So it has given us the correct version. Now we'll check the version for npm. So now we have the version for npm as well. So once we have this, let us start creating our application, our project. So first we'll create a directory. First let us create a directory and we'll check what are the contents of the directory. So our directory has this folder. Let us go inside the folder to start creating our project. So we are inside the folder where we intend to create our project. Now what we will do is we'll use a npm init command. Init means initialize. So this will be used to initialize the project. This will create, when we run this command, it will create the package.json. So it will ask you the basic details like the package name, the version, the description. So when you enter all these details, the entry point, it is assuming index.js is the entry point, all the details it will ask you for, and these details will be stored in the package.json. Package.json is basically a place where the project metadata is stored. So now we'll confirm yes. So now let us see. Now the package.json is created inside the folder. Let us see. So package.json is created with all the details that we entered. So now let us create another JavaScript file. Let me okay, just give me a minute. Yeah, now let us create a JavaScript file. So now we created a JavaScript file and now we are listing it, and we can see the JavaScript app.js JavaScript file has been created. Now the next thing that we will do is we will use we are going to use an express package in our Node.js application. This express package is easy for routing. It is simple and fast API. It is most compatible with Node.js. It helps us to create APIs. So we are going to use this package. So first we are going to install this package into our Node.js project. So for installing this package, we will use the command npm install express --save command. Now let me also show you this package once. So this is a npm package. We'll just search and we can find it. So here you can see how many times it has been downloaded in a week. So by this we can come to know that how many people are using it and how stable the package is. So this is an important parameter when you want to use a package. Here there is some sample code for the package, and also it is mentioned how to install the package. So we are using the same command, but we are adding save in the end. We are adding save because this will add the package to the package.json automatically. So now let us run the command. Otherwise you will have to add it to the package.json manually. So here you can see the it has been added. 50 packages have been added to our project. So automatically npm has done this for us. We did not have to do any extra action. So now let us see. So this node.js, if you note, node modules has been added to our project and it contains the express package. And if you see the package.json, here also the entry has been made for the express package, and the version is also mentioned. So all this is done just by running that one command by npm. So npm is making our life easier. So now let us open Visual Studio Code, and we'll open our project there, and we'll add some code to our project. And then we will start seeing that what all can be done using this express package in Node.js. We are going to create a server with just a very little code, and you'll see creating API is so easy. So let me open the project. Okay, so we have opened the project, and this is our JavaScript file. It is empty now. Let me copy the code to the JavaScript file. So now you can see that we have explicitly specified that we require the express package in our JavaScript file. We require CORS as well. CORS is basically for open access across domain boundaries. If you want to make a call to APIs or anything from other domains, we have to enable CORS. So this is what we have done here. Then we have specified the app and the port. App is basically creating a server. So we are creating a server using Express. Okay, so the next thing that we'll check is, so this is the basic code that is required for using Express. Now we will see how. So we have created a server. Now the server needs to respond to requests from the browser. So let us see how that is configured. So now basically this server, there are different methods using which the browser can call the server. So if you see, if the browser calls the server using a get method and country name parameter in URL, we will send the response, and we have hard coded the response over here. If it sends a post request, we'll respond in a different way. If it sends a get request, we'll respond in a different way. To start our project, we can either specify here in the scripts in the package.json, we can specify from where to start the project. We can specify node app.js because we want to start our project from app.js, or we can either write it here, or we can directly kickstart using the command line. Now let us run the command node app.js. This will kickstart the project from app.js. So here you can see in the console.log it is printed that on the local host on the 3000 port, the server is listening to the request from the browser. This console.log is printed here. Here you can see app.listen. So server is listening to the requests on the local host on 3000 port. So now what we will do is we will go to an online REST client. We could have used Postman also, but instead we'll use an online REST client. And first let us try sending the request from the browser. So I'll write the local host and the 3000 port here in the browser. I'll make a request to our server on the local host. So see, it is returning hello world. Now let us go to the application. Let us see the code. So here you can see that when the browser sent a GET request to the server, this is the code that is written to handle the GET request. We have written that when a GET request comes from a browser without any URL parameter, return hello world. So that is what we have mentioned. So now the second thing we'll see is if we have app.get and name parameter is passed. So in the response it will return the name and address. So name is Sakshi and address is Mumbai. That is what it will return. So this example we'll try on the online REST client. Let us go to the online REST client. Here in the method we have specified get. And in the URL we will give name. And we will send the request. So from the online REST client we are sending the request to our server that we have created now using Node.js. Let me correct the port and see the request has been sent successfully. And you can see in the response we have returned the name Sakshi and address Mumbai as we have specified in code, that if the GET request comes with the name parameter, in the response send name and address. So the same thing has happened. Now let us see this example, the post example, where the browser is setting the using the post method and the parameter is set name. So the parameter should be set name and we'll use the post method to send the request to our server. So we'll send the request. So basically you'll see that so whatever is there in the body has been received here. So let us see what is in the body. So in our online REST client, in the request, let us see the body. What is specified in the body, because in the post request, the data is sent through the body of the request. So let us see the body. In the body, we have specified the name Sakshi. That's why in the response, we could see the name Sakshi. So if we specify Amit here, we will receive Amit. So whatever you specify in the body in the post call, you will receive it. So here you can see in the response we got Amit. Okay, now let's see the next example. Let us see this example where in get method, if the browser sends us country and country name, then we will respond, put the response in the console log. So here let us put the request country.country name. So we have specified the parameter country and we have specified India, and here we are specifying the get method. Here there is an extra slash, I'll just remove it. So when we use this, then in response, it will print the console log. It will print the country, like we are giving India, so it will give the country, and it will set the response. So let us see this. So country is added successfully. That is what we can see in the response, because we send that response. And in the console log, in the server side, so let me correct it, yeah, okay, and let me open the git bash. So here you can see it is root params India. So India has been added here. You can see that India has come from the request. So on the server side log, we have printed it. Now let us discuss about Pulsar. Actually, it's the eCars app. The fictitious company name is Pulsar. So this eCars app is a sample gallery app in Salesforce which uses Salesforce, Heroku, and Node.js. So basically the problem statement is that Pulsar is a fictitious electric car company. They need to sell cars on site and through their customer facing website. Features of the car should be configurable. And the challenges for this company is that they have limited time for development and they have a small team of developers. So basically for solving these challenges, the technologies that fit the best are Salesforce, because in Salesforce we can quickly build applications, many features come out of the box, and time can be saved, and customizations are also available when required. Then another is Heroku, which is a great partner technology for Salesforce, which is basically platform as a service. It takes care of the tedious platform and environment prerequisites, and we can concentrate on the development work. And if we know Node.js, so Node.js application or many Heroku supports the applications of many languages, so we can create an application in a different language and deploy it to Heroku, and we can focus on the app instead of the infrastructure. So Heroku is another option which we are using, which can be used here. And another is Node.js. So why we are using Node.js is because it can be integrated with other systems easily. We already saw some applications why Node.js can fit in many different kind of applications. So in this case also, as it is a customer facing website, Node.js is a good option. And Node.js is scalable, lightweight, and we can create applications faster with Node.js. So basically we will be using these three options. Let us look at this diagram. So if you see this diagram, so here in the Heroku side, the customer facing web app, customer facing website which is developed in Node.js will be deployed on Heroku. And on Salesforce, we have the salesperson which will use the car order configurator. So basically in Heroku web application, customer will place the order and subscribe to it. Customer will basically, more than placing the order, customer will show his interest towards the product towards the car, and customer will also configure the car, that I would like to have a car of black color whose interior exterior is this, my range is the money range that I'm interested is in this much. So the customer will submit that and kind of subscribe to the notifications from the web application. These leads will be submitted to Salesforce. On Salesforce, the order will be created under that lead and a PDF will be generated, and Heroku microservices and Postgres database will be used to store all this data. So let us open the GitHub. Yeah. So this is the eCar application. eCar application is easy to use. Actually, it has a service cloud part as well that is not scope of this, because it has other technologies as well other than Node.js. Basically, in the service cloud application, from the cars there is sensor in the cars, and from the car information is collected, and that is streamed real time into Salesforce. So you can also look at that part if you are interested by downloading this package. If you check this, if you go to the eCars GitHub application, you will find the description, and you will also find the steps to download it over here. So there are there are some prerequisites, something like Git, Node.js, Salesforce DevHub, SFDX, Heroku CLI. These things will be required to configure this project on your machine. And there is a script for automated deployment, and also there is a for manual deployment. There are steps, and these are very detailed steps. Even I have used the manual deployment, and it works, so you can check that. Another okay, so let us check the demo, how it is working. So here you can see the car configurator, the details are submitted, PDF is generated, and when the PDF is generated, when we go to the lead record, on the lead record, on the related list, the PDF is attached. So this is the demo of the car configurator on the Sales Cloud, Salesforce Sales Cloud. Let us check this as well. Let me show you on Heroku how it works. So I'll just open the application. So in the Heroku, if we check here, this is the customer facing web application where customer will select the range that they want. Then they'll go to next, they'll select the exterior color, whatever they can change the color, and dynamically they can see how the car looks. Then they can select the interior color of the car. So this application is created in Node.js and is deployed on Heroku. Then here the customer can enter his details, and I have already subscribed, so that's why my lead is already submitted in Salesforce. That's why it is giving me unsubscribe. Otherwise it will give subscribe to a new lead. So here you can check. Okay. So now let us see how this application works. So basically this is the Node.js project that is used for is deployed on Heroku. So first of all, let us see. Here we can see the proc file. So in this it is mentioned that how to run the Node.js project. To run the Node.js project, we need to tell Heroku how to run it. So it is saying that you need the serve file has to be run. So package, so how will we find out which is the serve file? So we will go to the heart of the Node.js project, which is package.json, which contains the metadata about the project, and as we discussed, it also shows the functional attributes and dependencies and entry point to the project. So here if we check what is serve, so we can see here serve is this. So this Node.js command has to be run. So server.js is the entry point of our project, and this command has to be run to start the project. So on Heroku is going to use this command to start the project. Other than that, we have already seen how, what all is contained in the package.json, but we can still go through that again. Here we can see the basic details of the of our project that we enter. When we did npm init, we entered the basic details of our project, like name, version, who is the author, then description and other details. So this is the same thing. Here there are some scripts, javascript which are used in the project, and for build development which JavaScript files are used. So all those details are here. Then some dependencies, these are the npm packages and the versions which are used in our project. Other than that, here we can see the dev dependency. So the packages that are used only for development purposes, which are not required on production. Then I think some compatibility is also mentioned for engines, which engine will be required, which version, and nodemon is present. So basically nodemon is used to start and stop the npm server, and your server on npm, I mean. Okay. So now, as we know, server.js is the place which is the entry point. So let us go to server.js and see what is happening there. So if we see this project, here we have a client and server code. So client has the client side code and server has the server side logic. So in Java we can use JavaScript to write both. As we have already discussed, we can use JavaScript to write client side code also and server side also. So let us open and go to the server.js. So here as well, express is used, express package. So express package is as we discussed, it is used for creating APIs easily. It is good in routing. It is very compatible with Node.js. So express package is used, and some other dependencies are also declared here. Here we have declared the host and the port where the server will be running. Similarly, here we are instantiating a server to run, which will listen to browser requests. So here you can see app.use. So all this on server, different methods are there. Like if these methods are called, like if the browser sends a get request or a post request or a delete request, then these methods will be called. So API, from the API public key, get public key method will be called. From API class, subscription, create subscription method will be called. And other than, it's mentioned that app.use, if a call is made to the server without any extra URL parameters, then open index.html. So next file that in the next thing we are going to see is index.html after we check the api.js file. And rest of the things are similar, like the local host server is hosted on the local host and port. So those things are similar. You can deep dive into the code more when if you go to the eCars Git repository, and you can also download it and check it out. If we check this API file, so basically here JS Force is used, web push is used. So JS Force is used to connect to Salesforce. Vapid keys here you can see are used for the web push. Salesforce username, password, token and login URL are declared here, and JS Force connection is created. And Composite API is also used for inserting data into Salesforce. So you can different methods that are called, like create subscription, then delete subscription. Those methods are present over here, which make a call to Salesforce. So you can check this out. Now let us go to the client code. If we go to the client code, first of all we have to check the index.html, because we saw that on the server side we are going to whenever browser sends a request, the first page that is going to load is index.html. That is the first page of our website. So in the index.html we can see that there is some markup that is there for like if you remember the page, the branding, the Pulsar application that we saw that was hosted on Heroku, the client side website. So for this the markup is present, and below this if we see, UX app. So UX app is embedded inside this HTML page. So let us go there. In the UX, in modules, there is UX, so app. So inside this app, if we see, this is a Lightning Web Component, which is inside which there are three: UX toast, page header, basically the toast, page header, and the car configurator. So car configurator, toast, and page header. So these Lightning Web Components are used in Node.js. So as we discussed, Lightning Web Components can also be used in Node.js. Here if you check in the car configurator, basically there is code for like we saw that you can select the range for your car, the interior color, the exterior color. So there are different templates for that pagination purpose. Different templates are used, and visibility is controlled over here to show or hide that template. For example, template if true, show section 1 for the ranges, section 2 for the interior color, section 3 for the exterior color. So this kind of code is written over here. So you can also explore it further. So let me go back. So this is a very good example where Salesforce, Heroku, and Node.js have been used. And so that's it, everyone. Thank you Amit, for having me.